Okay, hey, this is Karen Lindwall-Bourg, the president of the National Association of Christian Women Entrepreneurs, and now very excited to announce of the International Christian Mompreneur Network. We're merging those two groups together by God's grace and with a little trepidation, so thank you for your patience. Let me get us started by sharing my screen with you. Hey, Hey Beth, oh my gosh, you finally made it in. We were having some trouble getting Beth into the room. It was as if there was a Beth boycott or something going on. So it's good to see you. So let me get us started. Oops, sorry. Just by sharing a few, for people who come in and watch later, a few snippets of information. I'll go fast. I introduced myself as Karen Lindwall-Bourg. You can find me at karenborg.com. Borg, not like the Star Trek Borg, a different kind of Borg. When you look on our NACWE Facebook pages, you'll see up at the top in a pinned or announced post stuck at the top sort of an overview of how to find our calendar, how to join us in an elite group, so what guidelines to use when you're on our Facebook page, how to join us for work sessions and prayer calls and all sorts of things. And our calendar gives you all of that information, and we think every link we needed to give you to join us in any venue that you prefer to join us in. And today we're in our community and education webinar. We do this every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. It's open to all Christian women entrepreneurs everywhere. Some of the replays are posted in our free training page on our website, and some of them are posted for our members only. So you need to join as a member to get hold of. Now we think the count is up to about 700 different offerings in the classroom vault for the National Association of Christian Women Entrepreneurs. Very proud of that. So let me start us out with prayer and introduce us to our Grow and Tell speaker today and give you a few other snippets of information, and off we go. Father God, I'm so grateful. Everything I have touched today has turned to goo. And so now I'm grateful to be able to sit down, introduce this webinar, and mute myself and let Debra do the hard part and learn from her. Lord, we just so enjoyed learning about different ways to grow as entrepreneurs. We want to grow in ways that please you and bring you glory and honor. What more can we ask for? And we can't do that without your help. And we've been so excited to also learn some new ways to tell and sell what we have to offer, because that's why we are entrepreneurs. We have something to offer and we need to tell people about it. We need to sell people what we've got to offer. So I just am grateful for this focus over these next few months and all that we have learned. It's been interesting. I've heard people refer to it, so that's really exciting. Someone that this very morning said, "Oh, you should have paused and reflected." So it's sinking in, and I appreciate that, Lord. So I just pray a special blessing on everyone who's here, on what you've called them to do, on Debra and what you've called her to do today and as she leaves this room today, and on those who will listen in later, Lord. We just praise you for your sovereignty, for your providence in our lives, even when we have gooey days like I have had, and we ask your blessing on this next hour. We ask these things in Christ's name. Amen. Okay, the quick version, we're doing Grow and Tell. So I'm going to do the tell part really, really quickly, and then leave the grow part up to Debra because it takes a little longer to walk you through that new information. And then at the end of the month, we're going to do a Grow and Tell Blitz, where we've done this before. It's a lot of chaos and a lot of fun, where we just start throwing out ideas for growing and ideas for telling or selling or marketing, whatever you want to call it. And you just pick up the ones that you like the most. And everyone who comes can have the handout, which will have hundreds of little snippets on it. And I'm trying to sort of annotate it so that each of those 100 things has a little bit more of an explanation beside it or a link to somewhere or whatever, but it might take me a while to clean that up to everyone's satisfaction, or to mine, we'll see. So a couple of dates to put on your calendar. If you can't join us, we would love it if you could join us, but if you can't join us, at least put it on your calendar to pray for us. We're having our second writing retreat in East Texas on July 25th through 28th. That's a Thursday night, Friday, Saturday. People leave on Saturday evening or they leave on Sunday morning. We're having another writing retreat November 7th through 10th at the lake. Very beautiful. We're having our annual conference, calling it Dipped in Chocolate Entrepreneurship, in September 20th through 21st. So put those dates on your calendar. The website for the Lakeside Writing Retreat is already up. If you look on the NACWE webpage, NACWE.org, there's a retreat button or an events button. And then the conference page is coming up really soon because we want people to get their seats. There's a limited number of seats, of course. And these are our conference graphics made by Darcy White, a NACWE member. We'll have a hat day and a boot day. Last year we only had a boot day. And every day will be NACWE Color Day. Well, people are already talking about buying their boots. I think that's fine. So we're talking about growing and telling. While you're in here, go ahead in the chat room and tell us who you are and what you do. Who you are, why you do what you do, maybe share a link to where we can find you, a link to one of your services, programs, or products. Tell us. We're talking about telling, so you have to tell. Tell something about you. If you want to put prayer requests in there too, we do look through the words of the chat room afterwards, so you're welcome to do that. The first part of May, we had a networking day, and here's the link. I don't know if I can, okay. While I'm sharing the screen, I can't put that link in there, but we'll try to get that link in the chat room for you. Or you can take a picture of it with your phone. This is the replay of the networking day. We do a networking day on the first Tuesday of every month, and I don't think I've had more fun than I had in that one. So that replay is going to be really crucial. Last week, we heard from Tina Drake Parmigiano. She's a NACWE member who's a John Maxwell trained coach, and we didn't get it recorded for you, and we had to re-record it. So if you watch this replay, you'll notice that it's just Tina and I, and no one else is there to interact with you. But I love the interaction. That's the part I look for the most. Let's see. Why did I do that? Oh, thanks. I was showing everybody what a Blitz card looked like. Yeah, last week we talked about Blitz card. That's what we were creating our own Blitz card to share with somebody. So that's an example of the Blitz card. This is the end of the 9th NACWE birthday, 9 days of celebrating, and someone, now that we are finished, will be counting up points. And someone who said they were in and participated in this contest will get a Keurig coffee maker. So I think I already know, having looked at the points, who that's going to be, but we'll announce that in the group real soon too. So today, we're going to hear from Debra about ladder, the principle of the ladder, the principle of the rubber band. And before we hear from her, I'll do the tell real quick. You already know how to tell your story. You tell your story every day. Honestly, you tell it poorly or you tell it well. And then we, as entrepreneurs, I think we should be practicing telling it so that we tell it well and tell it in different formats. We've got to have that 2-minute blurb. We've got to have that 30-minute one, maybe that 90-minute one. And for me, I had an 8-hour one last month as well. So you should tell your story, and you should tell your client's story. So one of the tell principles that we're going to talk about today really quickly is ask people that you have served as their coach, mentor, anything, to give you an endorsement and a testimonial, and put it somewhere. Put it on your Facebook page, put it somewhere on your website. Oh my word. My screen disappeared. Here goes the computer, you guys. I spilled a whole cup of coffee on it. I cleaned it up as best I could. There it goes. It just disappeared. It's back now. Y'all, fingers crossed and prayers, please. Okay. So yeah, ask for an endorsement and ask them for an endorsement. Give them one too. I mean, we should be doing that. We should be sharing endorsements. And then something new. Those things are things you've probably already done, have already talked about, already have a plan to do. But something new, do a series of live videos on a particular topic and see if you can do them in less than 2 minutes. Now, I don't know about you guys. We're Southern women. I can't say hello in less than 15 minutes, but so doing a video in less than 2 minutes is really a challenge for me. But literally, my little cursor is moving without me even moving it. There's coffee in my computer. That's what it's like. So do a series of live videos. So type in the chat room a topic that you might do a series of live videos on, and I'll try to do the same. I'm going to stop share. This part. My little mouse is going everywhere. Type in the chat room, tell us who you are, type in the chat room, tell us what you would do a series of 2-minute videos on, and I'll stop and mute me and introduce Debra. So Debra, we actually live close to one another. Don't you live out a little bit east of me? Bonham or?
Yes, we do. We live between Dallas and Shreveport, so it's east.
Oh, okay. And how far from Dallas?
We're about probably 45 minutes, 50 minutes.
Okay.
So yeah, not far at all.
Yeah. We do need to make a plan to have lunch one day or something like that. So.
Yes, we are close enough. We certainly are.
And we met at the John Maxwell conference in March. Fred and I grabbed a table, and Debra and a whole crew of people came and said, you know, is this table taken? We said no. They sat down to talk, and I began to ask the women at the table, how long have you been in John Maxwell? Because it was a brand new experience for me, and every time they answered the question, I just jumped right in with, would you speak for me? Would you speak for our group? Because we're using John Maxwell's book, The 15 Immeasurable Laws of Growth, and we're trying to do two chapters each week, I wanted John Maxwell trained coaches to teach on that subject. And so we've had great fun. Some of us are doing masterminds. We have a mastermind going. Some others have mastermind goings or getting ready to start one and that sort of thing. And they're just life-changing, absolutely life-changing experiences. So there goes my screen again. Oh, well. So
I think you.
I mean, I'm laughing about it, but you know what? I really feel like screaming. There's no coffee dripping out of my mouth. You know, it's in there somewhere. So we made Courtney a co-host in case my computer blows up. She'll be able to just carry on the meeting. I don't know what will happen to the recording. It'll just die and we'll have to redo it. But it is what it is. God is a God of technology, and I don't have to worry about it. So I'm just going to let you take over and talk to us about all of these things, rubber bands and
You are so sweet, and I am so sorry about your computer. Your heart is racing, going, what am I going to do? How am I going to fix this? So how did we all get to live by our computers, you know, and have, it's like one arm is going to go away. But anyway, my name is Debra Wood, and I did meet Karen. That was the first part of mine today, that the very same thing. I remember that out of 3,000 people, I don't know how many of you really believe in divine appointments, but out of a lunchroom of 3,000 people, and it really, truly, I have to even go a little deeper than Karen shared with you earlier, that it was one of the girlfriends I had met the very first year, Kate Sayson. And so we were looking for a place to sit along with this tribe of people following us, and we had not gotten to visit. And so I really remember thinking, okay, I don't want that lady to talk to her because we were busy catching up, you know. And then Kate said, this lady over to my left is really fun and really nice. We need to get to know her. And that really, truly is the power of the John Maxwell team and the power of the NACWE group and organization. And I am certainly the newcomer to this group, and the newcomer to the Zoom call, and the newcomer to knowing which Facebook page and all. But y'all have got a very powerful group of like-minded people that is too cool. Lots of people don't have that, and it's amazing when you get like-minded people together, what happens, and really truly what transposes and what can come out of that. So Karen, thank you for allowing me to be a part today. I appreciate it so very much. And first I want to start by saying, though, thank you for showing up today. You know, it's a choice to grow, and it's a choice to learn, and there's lots of people that are out there that have the opportunity to just pause their day and stop their day and jump on, and they didn't. So, you know, a big kudos to you for taking the time and the opportunity to learn and grow today. Karen, the 15 Laws of Growth was really, truly the very first book that I had read years ago of John Maxwell's. And I am a former teacher, kindergarten teacher, and really, truly developed curriculum and had taught curriculum for years before going into what I call my chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 4 of life. And one thing that always bothered me when I was going and attending conferences and listening to people speak, and especially when it had to do with teaching practices, was they would say, throw everything away. Use my book, read my book, think my way, and you will save the world. Well, as kindergarten teachers, we didn't quite believe that. We had some things in our past that were working, and we're like, we like what you're doing, but we're not going to throw away we're not going to throw the baby out with the dishpan. And so that was one of the things that I really, truly resonated and connected with John Maxwell, because his teachings are very simple. He talks about keeping the cookies on the bottom shelf. And he says, if this works for you, great. If I pour one piece of value into you, great. But if it doesn't work for you, well, then that's fine too. Leave it on the bottom shelf for the next person. And I find that to be very refreshing and very rewarding. As we all know, we're all different. We all learn differently. Aren't we glad? I mean, the Lord made every one of us different. I wasn't planning on sharing, but I have my youngest daughter who graduated from college and now has decided that she's going to go back. You can know this is not her first profession. And she has just recently finished dental assistant school. And as a mom, I'm going, what the heck? Why would you want to be a dental assistant and put your hands in people's mouths? And she's like, Mom, now, she's grown. She just married in October. And I say, well, good. And at that point in time, I think, aren't we glad? We're all different. God made us all different. And we all, it's different strokes for different folks on everything we do. And I am certainly glad of that. Karen asked me today to visit with you about the law of the ladder and the law of the rubber band. And the law of ladder we're going to take first. And so let's take a dive into this. We've got till 3 o'clock. Is that correct? Okay. I was just going to say, I thought that was right. And we certainly will finish definitely on time today. So don't freak out about that one. But let's start with the law of the ladder. And the law of the ladder talks about character and it talks about personal growth. So I'd love for everybody to stop for just a moment and think about the person in your life that when you say the word character, that person comes to mind. When you talk about what that person does, that person comes to mind. How that person stands out in your life. It's a person of character. Just recently I was meeting with a coaching client last week and I asked the same question. We were talking about the law of the ladder and we were talking about the growth and the character. And I have to laugh, for those of you who are from Texas, he was from A&M. So he had a lot of those people that he considered to have a lot of character in his group. But sometimes often when we think of the word character, if some of you have young children, you think of, and again, it's been several years since I've had young children, you think about the characters. You think about, if you've got little boys, it might be the ninjas, or it was Dora when it was my girl, or when my oldest was young, it was Barney. And some of you probably don't even know who Barney is, but Barney was the big purple dinosaur, and she absolutely loved the big purple dinosaur on that. And so that was what character, in that stage of my life, when we immediately said that, that's what came to mind. Personally, if you'll allow me to share just a personal story, one of the people or the person that comes to my mind when I think of the word character is really, truly my parents and my father. And he was my guy, my go-to person when I thought of character, and I thought of big, and I thought of big shoes to fill. That was who came to mind on that. And, I have to share one of my best memories that my parents had with me with the word character and my reputation. Character really, truly is what's inside. Your reputation is what's on the outside. And I'll never forget, we lived in a small town about 25 miles southeast of Dallas. When I say small, I mean really small. We had 53 people in our graduating class. And I met my husband when I was a freshman in high school at the science table. And so it was just really cool to be at the Dairy Queen. And because the Dairy Queen and one other mom and pop place, those were the only places that there were to eat in town, and that was the hangout spot. And so we would hang out on Friday and Saturday nights at the Dairy Queen. Well, my mother wasn't too sure about that because, of course, the boys were drinking beer in the Dairy Queen parking lot. And I'd say, now, Mother, I'm not doing that. I'm not. The boys are doing that, and I'm not. And I didn't. I was scared to death of my daddy and going home and having to tell him something had happened. But she would always say, now she would imply, and she would try to encourage me not to go. And I'd say, Mother, that's just the coolest place to be. And she'd say, Debra, your reputation. Of course, I'd say Sandra, and I'd get those mother eyes going. But that was really, truly the words of reputation and character, the difference between those two at that point in my life that my parents put forward into me. The character was, I was there, Mom. I was making the good choices and the right decisions. But the reputation was, she was sure it was going to rub off on me because I was there with those boys and they were having a beer. And so I really, truly, I lost my mother in August of this year. And so as I was preparing today, very things that I go on with. But, let's go back and let's think about the law of the ladder. When John Maxwell talks about that, he talks about character is at the bottom of the ladder and that personal growth is at the top of the ladder. And that you've got to have that foundation at the very bottom. And then as you build on yourself and build on those things, that's when your personal growth really begins to shine, when you build on a good character that comes from the inside. You take a minute, you start on the inside and you shine on the outside. And when you grow like that, that feeling is like none other. But I'm sure that if we really truly said, okay, guys, is anybody thinking, does somebody have somebody that's not on the inside and they try to shine on the outside? On real quick. It is, as Karen says, it is what it is with me, and I've got a great story on Mom on that one too. It is what it is. So stop for a moment though, and let's think about when people are challenged. When you've been challenged, everybody can raise their hand. I know I can. There have been moments in my life, some of them little challenges, some of them really, truly some great big challenges in your life. And so stop and think about that for just a moment. Whether it's in your life or whether it's in somebody else's life. And as I was preparing for today, the person that comes to mind in my life, and I'd love to share her with you, and hopefully I can get her part of this, is my Aunt Tina. And I laugh when I call her my Aunt Tina. My Uncle David was 3 years old when my mother and daddy married. And so that made, when I came along, my Uncle David was 6 years old. So we kind of grew up more brother and sister than we did an aunt and uncle. And so my Uncle David married, I love to call her my Aunt Tina because she's the same age as I am. And of course, every time we're together and we introduce one another, she said, you just love doing that, don't you? And I said, I do. That makes me younger, you older. But anyway, Tina has really, truly, I'm talking about somebody in my life right now, presently, that defines character and has that strong foundation. Because, just as bit of her life. So my Uncle David got sick. I guess it's probably been 5 or 6, 7 years ago. And he became sick with COPD. He had lung issues, and really, his health just continued to decline. And so Tina, who was a hairdresser, she had to start taking the role of caregiver, the person who took care of the home. And some of you, I'm sure, might be in those same situations, and you know the load that was on her shoulders as far as having a sick husband. He was on disability, but she was the provider. She cut hair. And so you saw her carrying the load for the family. And she did it with such grace. She did it with such strength. But then, of course, the times became tougher. And my Uncle David, he passed away about 2 years ago. And then at that point in time, she became the sole provider for her family, which included raising a granddaughter. Guys, at every point of her time, and I have to say that she hasn't been a devout churchgoer, so she doesn't have a strong church family. And, some people really depend on that a lot. But I saw her rise to the occasion. I had given her one time, and, we all different devotionals, and some of us like devotionals more than others. But for her, a simple devotional book, that Jesus Calling book. I just wrote in the front of it real quick, and I could pick it up at Walmart and handed it to her and said, here, I hope this, really truly helps you in some way. So she, from the time David has been gone, I have heard her say, I read my little book every morning and I pray every morning. And that's the strength that gets me through what I'm going through. And if that's not enough to be the sole provider and then, be a single mom to this granddaughter she's raising, I'm telling you, last night I was visiting with my husband, he said, she's been through a lot. Literally, after that happened, she had pipes in I didn't even know you put water pipes in the attic, but her water pipes were in the attic, and one January after that, they froze and literally flooded all over her house. She's had water pipe issues outside. She has, she's had the heater went out. Literally all of these things. And I've seen my Aunt Tina, such an example of saying, God's got a plan. Young book, Jesus is Calling, watching Joel Osteen on Sunday mornings. And to me, guys, her watching her journey of personal growth and watching that character foundation that she has been like none other. Does anybody, and I know, is everybody muted? Okay. I was just saying, so I'm just going to ask you one more time to think about that person that's in your life. And last night, I just texted her a heart to give her a word of encouragement. So I challenge you today, the law of the ladder, that character that we all have. If you're here in this group, it just speaks volumes of what you've got going on. But I challenge you to reach out and really, truly pour into somebody today that you think, you know what? I know the law of the ladder may make no sense to them, but I want to pour into them today and say, I appreciate you. I appreciate the things that you're doing. I watch you, and give them a word of encouragement. One last thing I'd like to finish up on the law of the ladder. I don't know how many of you watch Survivor. Now, I was not a Survivor fan up until a couple of years ago. Again, my David and Tina, they've watched it every season, all 38 episodes they've been in a part of Survivor. Well, I'm not that big of a fan, but husband started watching Survivor, and you know how you do when the husband's watching that, you get you something to do, and you kind of pretend to watch for a second, and then you like, well, crap, I'm getting interested in this a little bit. So this season, and for those of you who have married children, I'm a new mother-in-law as of October, and we could have a sidebar conversation about that for those of you who have daughter-in-laws and son-in-laws, because I've got this new son-in-law. So I found real quick that if we could this year, if they were excited, they don't have cable at their house. So they were super pumped, and I got them interested in Survivor. So that guaranteed me every Wednesday I was getting to see them. So it had twofold for me on that one. If you can, as my mother used to say, if you can kill two birds with one stone, why not? So if you watch Survivor, again, I can't watch the chat room and do this at the same time. I'm going to get better at this. But Devin was a TV news guy. And so he was, at the very end, him and Chris, or how many of you, oh, I'm getting feedback now. Is everybody unmuted? Y'all are laughing at me. Quit laughing at me. Have y'all all watched Survivor?
I'm laughing because I think my computer is going down.
It's going. It's dying. Okay. Karen's computer is, we may have to sing Amazing Grace here in a minute because Karen's computer is officially dying. Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, you want me to go ahead? I'm waiting for the word for them to go ahead.
Okay, I think keep going, right?
Okay, we'll keep going. So on Survivor this last week, we were down to the season finale. And if you watched it all, you know that Devin was a TV news anchor guy and Chris was a salesman guy. And they both had been sent to the edge of extinction. That's the other island that you had less food, more sand. I can't even begin to imagine wanting to do that in my life, you know? But anyway, Devin had orchestrated at the very beginning for Chris, the sales guy, to be voted off. He had blindsided him. And then the next week, Devin had gotten blindsided, which means nobody knew that they were going to vote for that person. They didn't think they were getting voted off. They thought they were part of another scheme to vote somebody else off. So they both found themselves at the edge of extinction. When Devin got to the edge of extinction, he said that it was very tense between him and Chris. Chris was still very upset and very mad that Devin had blindsided him. And so at that point in time, they made amends. I mean, what else are you going to do when you're on an island? You only have a little bit of food, and let's see, you've got the beautiful Fiji waters to watch, but what else are you going to do? So they had made amends and really truly come to terms with their relationship and what, you know, their friendship there on Survivor. But guys, the thing, and I challenge you to Google this, and I may try to find it and get posted on my Facebook page. When they came back, Chris got it back into the rally of the, he was one of the 4 left on the island that was really truly in to win $1 million. And Devin had a half of an idol. Now at this point in time, Devin could give half of the idol back to Chris, and it guaranteed him a spot to be able to stay on. Now there, $1 million is $1 million, guys. I've never had it, and we tease about it at my house all the time. But Devin decided to give that part. He trusted Chris, and he said, I'm going to give you that. And he mentioned it, you know, as they were interviewing him. He said it was the right thing to do. Chris ended up winning the $1 million. The man that he gave half of the idol to won the money, voted his anchor, and he said, listen, if you had to go back and do it over again, would you still give Chris half the idol? Would you do it? And Devin said, national TV, yeah, I'd do it again because it was the right thing to do. And guys, I was laughing because I'm like, I'm not a Survivor fan, but there on that TV show, character was really resonating very loud and clear that that was the right thing to do at the time. You know, the inside victories are the big ones. The inside victories. When you, as Karen, I love when she was talking about the tell this week, that tell people about your business, be excited about your business. And then when you get to go and you really do have an inside victory, I mean, how much, raise your hand, how much fun is it? I mean, I get super pumped, you know, and then you get some momentum built. So if you're not comfortable, and this is just a bonus here today, if you're not comfortable doing that, practice it. Practice it in the mirror. Get video yourself. Practice telling people. It doesn't have to be long. It can be 3 or 4 sentences, but practice sharing about your business. Because I promise you, if you're excited about it, other people are going to get excited about it. And, you know, we could really take a deep dive into that's that law of vibration, that you're sending out great positive signals about your business. You're being excited about it. And I promise you, then the people are going to attract to you that you would like to do. And I really consider that of the 3,000 people in the divine appointment that I had with Karen, I truly, it was the law of vibration. She was looking for people to bring into the group, and she really, truly attracted, probably not me because I'm still on Survivor back, but other people. She attracted them to adding value to your group. You know, before I finish up on the law of the ladder, something that John Maxwell says, that this one, I tell you, he talks about, he said, you know, when you get an inside victory, what's going to happen is you're going to develop a habit of learning how to do that a lot. It's going to start coming to you, and it's going to feel so good, and you're going to be so excited about it that, I mean, you can't contain yourself. You're like, this is fun. It's a game. You know, it's something that we're playing back and forth. But John Maxwell talked about that John Wooden, you know, the basketball coach, he always shared with John Maxwell. And I'm going to read this to you because I haven't committed it to memory yet, but I'm going to. The law of the ladder, talking about character being at the bottom and personal growth going to the top. He said, there is a choice you have to make in everything you do. So keep in mind that in the end, the choice you make makes you. That's character. It's huge, guys. How many times have we all told our children life's about choices? I mean, my kids are sick of that little saying, but I'm like, life's about choices. You better make a good one. Every time they happened out the door, that was what this mom said. And that's exactly, there is a choice you have to make in everything you do. So keep in mind that in the end, the choice you make makes you. That's character. I've shared that on my Debra D. Wood Facebook page. So if you'd like to go and grab that, I'd love for you to do that as well. Would love for you to be my friend. Would love for you to like that page as well. So the last thing.
So Debra D. Wood on Facebook, just like that. Debra.
Right. Debra D. Wood is my business page. And then also Deborah Grubbs Wood that you put on the page at the very beginning, Karen. That's my personal page, and I'd love to be friends with y'all personally as well.
But the quote is going to be on Debra D. Wood.
It is. It is.
Debra D. Wood. Wood with no S, right?
Wood with no S. That is correct.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it.
So before you go on, if anybody has a comment or a question, if you're like me, you'll forget it. Now, all of a sudden, my computer's being nice, so I got to ask.
I love it.
What's the cookies on the bottom? Keep the cookies on the bottom shelf. How does that play in? What does he mean by that? And how does that play into the ladder and all that?
Right. I think when John says, keep your cookies on the bottom shelf, for him, it's a teaching method that he does, but I've also applied it to sales as well. Sometimes I even have to challenge myself on certain days that, you know, and you probably have, if you've shared with a group or you're trying to tell about your business. Well, I don't know about you, but I want to tell everything because my business is wonderful and I love it. I started it and I want to tell you when I started it and when I did this and when I did that. And this is what I do and I can do this and I can do that. And you just really, truly want, when you get excited, you just want them to know everything about your business. Mm-hmm. And to me, keeping my cookies on the bottom shelf is saying, my name is Debra D. Wood, and I'm a certified speaker, trainer, and coach for the John Maxwell team. I absolutely love pouring value into people. I sell people that want more value. I want to sell you. And so I've got my elevator pitch that's 3 or 4 lines long, and that's what I do. So I think to me, that's what he means. Don't try to tell them everything the very first time you meet them, but be excited and plant that seed. Everything about sales is a seed. You plant that seed and you never know, you know, if that seed's going to germinate and grow or that person's going to plant a seed with somebody else. You just, you know, I have to go back real quick, and I know I've got to get to the law of the rubber band, but when I was involved in our curriculum business, we would go to a big trade show every year. And it was really, truly, you'd have some people come by and you'd think truly, I guess you can call me being judgmental at the moment, but I think they're not going to be interested in early childhood materials. There's no way. They're not going to be interested. And I'd pitch them a couple of lines, and then those would be the people that would say, here, I'm going to write you a check for this right now. When can you ship my order to me? So you have to always keep that open mind, because you never know who's going to know somebody, and who's going to know somebody. It's huge. Shampoo. I'm old enough to, are you old enough to know the shampoo commercial, and they tell somebody and they tell somebody, and yeah, and then everybody has the shampoo, So anyway, any other questions this very moment in time?
There have been lots of comments in the chat room, but my computer did something and I lost the chat. Oh, yeah, I lost it. So I don't know. If anybody wants to pop in, this is your chance if you have a question about the ladder portion, and then we'll go to the rubber band. I can't wait to hear that one.
Okay.
The
last thing I want to say on, if you don't write anything else down, I've said today, I want you to write down: emergencies don't develop character, they reveal it. Listen to those words. Emergencies don't develop character, they reveal it. And ladies, I'm telling you, in this group, I don't know how many emergencies. We know Karen has had her coffee on her computer keyboard today, but on a given day, I mean, how many emergencies do we have? I mean, you who have young children, Katie, bar the door. They come moment by moment by moment. Those who have children in school, you may get a break ever so often. It's not until something happens at school that you're called back for that emergency. I'm laughing because, and really truly, as I take a deep dive in myself today, my emergencies, quote unquote, I've moved into, again, I had my mother up until August. And I thought my parents were supposed to take care of all of my emergencies. That was their job in life, and I was very blessed that I was able to work with them. We lived close to them, and they did take care of me in that way. And I find myself now that I'm moving into that role for my girls. So I have two daughters. One is 31 and she's not married. She's a speech therapist. I apologize for not doing this at the beginning. And my other 25-year-old just married in October. So we just ventured into this, like I said, in-law world. But I find myself being my mother when they're calling, it doesn't matter. That's my emergency for the moment, and in fact, we're in a group text and I saw the thing come up on, and I'm not texting back quick enough. And I saw one of them say, she's on a call, leave her alone for a minute, and so, but emergencies don't develop character. They really reveal it. And that's what I'd love to leave you with on the law of the ladder. So I've got about 15 minutes left, and I'd love to take you to the law of the rubber band, because I love to say that this is one of my favorites. Yeah, wow. There are some of us that are risk takers, and then there are some of us on this call today that love to be the tried and true people. I mean, I'd love to, are you a risk taker? Are you a tried and true person? I have to say that I am the risk taker. I have been married to Tracy Wood. Told you I met him when I was in 9th grade at the science table in our high school. We didn't really start dating until after college. He had another girlfriend, but that's a whole nother story. But I'm going to tell you, I really truly feel like that the Lord has a sense of humor. And if you don't believe he does, let me share with you real quick. Tracy Wood and I have been married for 35 years. We have been stretched more than ever before in the last 2 years. So he started his career as a teacher, as we both did. I taught high school and then kindergarten. I taught high school reading and then kindergarten. And then he taught, he taught science and coached. I don't know what he did. Anyway, he did some of those things. He left that career to become a police officer. So for 20 years, he was a police officer. And in 2017, they were making some changes. He was in a little suburb outside of Dallas, Texas, and they were making some changes in the local department. And, I said, Tracy, I'm just not sure that that's what you should be doing anymore. Back up for just a moment. So I taught school. Then 5 kindergarten teachers, we started a business together. And so we had a business ourselves for 20 years. And in 2000 and, wow, I'm doing dates now, 12, I stepped out of ownership of that business and started another business that I call it Chapter 2 of Life. The name of that business is Paper Sack Promotional. So in 2017, he decided that he could retire. And on a given day, one morning he woke up and said, I think today's the day. And I said, I think that's great. Go retire. And he did. So for a couple of days, weeks maybe, I was trying to leave him alone and trying to decide what he was going to do. My lady who did quotes for me here at Paper Sack had left. She had gone on to a bigger venture. And so we decided together that he would come to work at my company, my spot, my baby, my second baby, my world. He was going to join me here. Now, girls, let me just go back for just a minute. All of you on this line are entrepreneurs, right? And we all know what it's like to be an entrepreneur. We all know what it's like to be a small business. Okay, when you're a police officer, it kind of goes like this. You're a police officer. You get a call. You turn on your sirens. You get to the call. You possibly arrest somebody. You possibly put somebody in a body bag. You do a report. You file the report, you finish, and you go home. And that's what Tracy Wood had done for 20 years. Now, is anybody getting ahead of me here? 20 years, that's what he did. Remember, he is stepping into Debra Wood's world of small business, of entrepreneurship. Can I remind you that growth begins at the end of your comfort zone? I mean, we have stretched so many rubber bands. We haven't broken one completely yet, but we've got pretty doggone close. He's been with me for 2 years now, and I'm talking about the rubber band. I'm on one side, he's on the other side. He's saying, Debra, why do we have to quote? Well, I finished that quote and I'm saying, yes, Tracy, but they call back and that customer doesn't want 144. They want 288 and they want to change the color from blue to red. And he looks at me and says, what? And I've had to say, the body's not dead. They've risen up. The police report has to get taken back out. We have to do it again. We haven't killed one another yet. We have really, truly, being very transparent with you, we haven't had a knockdown, drag out yet. But I tell you, I haven't spent as much time with Tracy Wood as I have in 35 years as I have with the last 2 years of him being here working with me. And of course, they laughed at me and said, is he working for you or with you? I said, he's working for to begin with. Now, over this second year, I guess I have to say with, because he is doing a pretty good job. But the rubber band, the stretching of the rubber band is a lesson that you need to learn. John Maxwell says, growth stops. Listen closely. Growth stops when you lose the tension between where you are and where you could be. It stops. You know, tonight I've got a call about the comfort zone, and that's really truly, when that rubber band isn't holding anything, that's where you are. You're right there in the middle of your comfort zone, and you're not going to be doing any growing if that's where if you're not stretching in what you're doing. You know, John Maxwell also shares God's gift to us. I love this. God's gift to us is potential. Think about it. It's our gifts. It's a biblical truth. He gives us our gifts. And if we're not using our gifts, then we're being selfish. And our gift back to God is truly developing whatever potential we have. And with all of you and your own businesses, you are. I commend you. My hat is off to you, because I have to be honest. This really, truly, this is the fourth. I mean, I did 20 years with a curriculum company. I've got this business now. I bought a franchise in between. And now in 2017, it's my John Maxwell business. And you talk about stretching. But the one thing I want to point out to you, and I really, truly, I'm just so excited about this community and the community that you have, because it's been very hard for me. I might even use the word difficult. When I had partners in business, we bumped off one another all the time. Our offices connected. So if your self-talk got a little off, you could say, hey, what do you think about this? And she was ready to pump you up and say, yes, do it, go for it. We all had our talents and strengths, and we pulled them together with the Lord's hand. It's amazing what we could do and what we did for children. But being a solo entrepreneur, round two, round three, round four, but this one on round four, being solo, I mean, a lot of you are in your homes, you're all by yourself, and I don't know about you, but on a given day, if the sun's not shining, I kind of go, I'm not sure who thought this was a good idea, you know? And so to have the group that you can be a part of is that the value of that is beyond anything I could put my hands on right now, because I have found, I really, truly, it's a time for another day, but went through a really dark spot in 2018 that I have to say, because I was by myself, it was hard. I wasn't plugged in. And, I wasn't where I needed to be as far as business was concerned. And now, here we do have an office. We have a couple of employees, and now they're dependent on me, and so it just gets tougher and tougher and tougher that. So you solo entrepreneurs, plug into this group. Don't be afraid. I'm having to say, even with the John Maxwell page, on certain days, I'm like, when people will say, I'm having to stretch because of this. And they put out there the problem. I'm going, oh my goodness, I just can't, in a million years, would I really truly say this is going wrong for me today? I own my own business. I'm supposed to be stretching. I'm supposed to be doing things great. It's hard. It's tough. But I tell you, stay plugged in. People love you, and people are going to take care of you. If you're listening to my voice today, I know you're stretching because you're here. There's lots of people that had access to this today, and they didn't jump on the line to come and stretch and grow themselves. A few more people in my life that I really, truly think about stretching. My mom was one of them. She was the very first one of all of us that was on Facebook. It was hilarious, and she learned how to text later in life, and she learned how to send pictures, and we never were so hilariously pleased when she named our group. She learned how to name a text. We're like, well, Mother, I don't even know how to do that. I've got other people in my life that I've got a man, guys, that, and gals, I use the word guys loosely, don't I? That he will be Mr. Weeks, Doorless Weeks. I took over his territory to sell promotional products. I guess it's really been 5 years ago. And he will be 92 years old on Christmas Day of this year. When he meets somebody, they'll say, are you having a good day today? And he'll always say, young man, I'm having a good day today, and I want you to have a better one tomorrow. 92 years old and still stretching, still growing, and can really, truly remember more things than I have. The last couple of things I really want to share, because we've got, according to my clock, about 4 minutes left. There's some ways that I found to remain positive when you're a solo entrepreneur. On certain days, it's tough. And I call it fuel in my tank. And we all have the valleys. We talked about that a while ago. We have the mountains. We have the valleys. We have the emergencies. Those are things that, again, our character and our personal growth will get us through. But our top 10 ways to remain positive, fueling my tank. And since we're almost out of time today, I'd really love for you to jump online, contact me through Debra D. Wood. And so that's www.debradwood.com. And I'd love to send you my top 10 ways that I keep positive and I keep my fuel tank positive. And again, that's also easier said than done. Last takeaway for the day. It's never too late to be what you can be. Listen to me again. It's never too late to be what you can be or what you could have been. Some people, and I'm sure you've had these people as well in your life. Some people say, oh gosh, I'm too old to do that. I hate it when I go to the doctor and he now says, at your age. I take offense to that these days, at your age. I'm going, no, let's just not talk about that, So, but when people talk about in 5 years, oh, I'm going, well, where are you going to be in 5 years anyway? Think about it. Where are you going to be, with or without whatever you're doing? You're going to be 5 years older. If you're here on this earth, you're going to have 5 years under your belt. You might as well be thinking about where you want to be. But guys, there's one little secret, and I want to finish up with this. I was with a group of financial advisors the other day, and I left them with the very same note, that there's one little secret that you can do that's going to be a part, that's going to make a difference in what you're going to be in 5 years. And that one little word, that one little 3-letter word is Y-O-U. You're going to make the difference. You've got to make the action. You've got to take the first step. You've got to tell people about your business. Certainly, you can use your character and your personal growth of the law of the ladder. You can use the law of the rubber band, and they will all help you reach your potential. But the difference maker is you. I appreciate you letting me be here today. I appreciate you letting me share and just some of my thoughts and some of my favorite stories about the law of the rubber band and the law of the ladder. Karen, you've got a great group. You've got a big thing going on. I'm excited to be a part.
And I needed to laugh.
Thank you.
I mean, I really needed to laugh. So I appreciate it. So what was the quote as we close out? I'll close this with prayer, or you can. The growth stops when you growth stops when you lose the tension between where you are and where you want to be. Someone just
where you want to be. Yep, it is.
And then when you talked about I lost the first half of the chat room, but when you talked about the rubber band, here were some of you need to hear these. Okay, this is what people started saying. Oh my goodness. This is so hilarious. Our stretch has been over our new home plans the last month and a half. Somebody else said ours has been transitioning into semi-retirement. Somebody else said ours has been prepping to move my husband's parents here. Somebody else lied.
Oh dear.
We haven't really had one yet. I'm like, yes, you have.
It's coming. It's coming. Yeah, no worries. It'll be there. It'll be
there.
Fire
pants on fire. But and I think that's right. I mean, I hope that I will look at that stretch a little differently now. I mean, we know that. We know we don't grow when we're complacent and everything is sugary sweet, and we grow when we spill coffee into it. But you said something earlier. You said character is revealed by what? By the trauma or the tragic thing that happens, or what did you say? Something like that.
Character is. Let me find the quote. Character.
No, she said emergencies don't build character; they reveal it.
Yeah, and we've always heard the opposite, that it's the things that make you stronger, right? But when you said that, I mean, I hate to be honest, but I thought, epic fail today. My character was totally revealed when the kid was late to work, when the peacock stayed on the top of my car and flew off into a field on the corner of the highway, when I couldn't find her trudging through the mud and dirty grass. There could have been a snake in there. And when I spilled coffee on my computer, and I mean, the list goes on and on. Everything I've touched has turned to goo. But we also read a book, and we talked about this last year. It's called Live, Yes, and he said, one of the things he said is, yes, there's going to be goo, and you should embrace it, because it's where, he said the same thing you said, it's where you learn the most, it's where you grow in character, it's where you...
And the name of the book is Live, Yes, and? Is that
Live, yes, and Travis Thomas.
Okay.
Awesome.
Yeah. Well,
awesome.
And one other thing that pulls from John Maxwell's world is he talks about whatever you're going through today is the perfect curriculum that you need to be able to train someone else. And I mean, to me, that's, whoa, you're wherever you are. That's the perfect curriculum. And guys, just being very transparent with y'all, some mornings I'm up and I'm going and I'm like killing it, knocking it out of the ballpark. And during the day, I'll be able to pour whatever resonated with me that morning into somebody. And then other days that I don't do that, I'm going, okay, so who did I shortchange today? But 9 times out of 10, just like whatever you're going through today is perfect for what you're going to be able to pour into somebody else. Now, I personally like the mountains better than I do the valleys. I'll just be honest. You know, I love the mountaintops, but we all know we've got to have those valleys to be able to appreciate those mountaintops that much more. Yeah, we do.
Well, honestly, you said wherever you are is the perfect curriculum, and I'm thinking, really? I mean, I have this attitude, so I will embrace this later.
Yeah, totally.
As the coffee drips out of that's why I kept turning my computer sideways to see if I could get something out of it. But when I turn it sideways, my mouse works, so something must have moved.
Well, there you go.
Well, you know they're going to want to keep it for, 3 weeks.
Yes, they are.
Not 3 hours, 3 weeks. So I leave for Guatemala tomorrow, and I'm just going to say, I think that God did not want me to have a computer while I was there. So
I hear.
I will embrace this. I'll let you know.
I don't know about you, but that's the way the Lord has to do me sometimes. It's like if he would write in Sharpie marker, I would be so much better. But I sometimes have to be ahead over the head with the 2x4 and say, don't. Yeah, just leave it at home. Yeah, be present.
Would you like to close us in prayer, or would you like for me to?
Yeah, I would absolutely love to.
Oh, good. Thank you.
Dear Heavenly Father, thank you so much for this day, and thank you so much for this time with this group of ladies. Lord, we all are striving to live the way you want us to live, to be in your presence, to be open and being still, to listen, to be able to decipher exactly what you want us doing. Dear Lord, one of my words this year is clarity, and clarity takes being still and listening. And I know you tell me all the time I have 2 ears and 1 mouth, and I get that mixed up on certain days, as these ladies know already about me, that I love to visit and I love to chat, and being still is a challenge for me. Thank you for allowing me to pour into, hopefully, one little thing into these ladies, the words that they needed to hear today. That was my prayer, Lord, to be a leader in this area, and for me to be really, truly a river for these ladies, not a reservoir, keeping everything inside, but whatever was supposed to be said today, I hope and pray that's what I delivered. I bless this group. Thank you so much for allowing my path to cross with Karen. Mm-hmm. I want you to please bestow upon this group the things that these ladies are supposed to be doing and sharing, and give them strength to be able to continue on. I ask you to go with us and our families throughout the day. Help us to be a servant to you and the things we're supposed to be doing. In Christ's name I pray. Amen.
Thank you so much, Deborah. Thank you guys for being here too. I'm glad, Beth, that you finally got into Zoom. I was worried about you. But you guys are my peeps. I love you dearly. And here we go. We will see if the recording worked. Modern technology and all. God bless you, Deborah. Since we're so close, we really do. When I get back, we really sometime this summer.
We do.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Would love to. Would love to. Absolutely. Okay. Most definitely.
All right.
Hope everybody has a good evening.
You too. Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.